I had a vision this morning of black males riding around in cars around me at a bus stop, and I did not have anywhere to go. They were trying to say you can go to a shelter, but the shelters are denying me. And then I saw a white teenager and a black teenager, and the white teenager, she was a female. She pulled out a blunt, and they were trying to get me to hit it. And I told the black girl, no, I didn't hit it. And she took the blunt and started smoking it. So when I woke up, the Holy Spirit basically let me know they're trying to paint you out as a drug addict. Now, the reason why they are trying to do this is because they're doing an operation to try to ruin my image, because a white woman here in Texas named Cynthia O'Vera stole my child. A little boy named Melbourne Halo met her with this white male. This is the father, and she said she was raping my child with him. This is Cynthia O'Vera. Cynthia is the main culprit. Okay, so let's break this down. What do these people have to do with Cynthia O'Vera? Okay, so Austin got out of prison and came into my apartment attacking me 2018. I was raising my child by Austin inside of the apartment. Now, Cynthia thought that she could control my apartment because her husband, Joseph, was paying my rent. So when I was calling the police on Austin for attacking me, Cynthia was hiding him at her home from the police department, and he was fleeing from the scene and coming back and attacking me in my house. So he ran me out of my house after attacking me and my child, and I was pregnant by him again, and I was bleeding. And I went to a restaurant asking them for help, and Austin came in there attacking me, and I shot Austin in the leg while he was being violent with my child in Baytown Seafood Restaurant in Conroe, Texas, and they arrested me and they gave my child to Cynthia. They called her up to the scene, and Cynthia took my child home with her and Joseph, her husband, that was paying my rent. And Cynthia said she started gang raping my child. She had a lot of people helping her. The police department lied about the police report. First of all, I'm out on all of the charges. The police were lying about everything. The 911 calls, the witness, him attacking me. They lied about my pregnancy and tried to kill my baby inside of me in the jail, and the baby is still alive, and it is 2022. That's what kind of operation they are over here trying to pull. So while I was in the jail for about 3 months, my lawyer, Ingrid Chandler, was helping them lie about 911 calls. She was Caucasian. My family refused to bond me out and decided they were going to try to set me up to be murdered with the KKK. In 2019, Cynthia told me that she was gang raping my child with Joseph O'Vera and Austin, saying it was because I was black. And then she thought that she was going to have me killed inside the jail, and said that she put a hit out on me and the baby to be murdered in the jail, and said she was raping my little boy to death. So then she tried to have us killed, and I survived. And the baby is alive, and she know what time it is about raping my child. She's going to jail if she don't give me my baby alive, point blank, period. So while Cynthia was trying to have me murdered inside of the jail, while they were saying they were going to take me to trial, but they were poisoning me inside of a segregated housing unit, they went through this judge. This is Judge Tracy Gilbert. This is a male judge that was not over the criminal case where they were saying that I was being charged for shooting Austin. He was not the judge. Cynthia had Austin sue me for custody of my child while they were trying to murder me in the jail after they told me that they were raping him. So after Austin said he already had been raping my child, raping the little boy, after Cynthia said she had been raping the boy, after Cynthia said her husband had been raping the boy, Cynthia said the Conroe police had been raping the boy and they were in the KKK. Cynthia said that the Black Freemasons have been raping the boy with them, and Cynthia said that the correctional guards inside of the jail have been raping the boy with them, and she said that's why they needed to set me up to be murdered inside of the jail. She said they wanted us dead because I was black and I shot him and he was white. That is what they said, and they said they were raping him. So God was fighting the case for me, and I kept pleading not guilty. God kept saying, you're not guilty, you're not guilty, you pregnant, you're not guilty. So I kept saying I was not guilty, and then before they let me plead not guilty in front of a judge and set the trial date, Cynthia set it up for Austin to sue me after they all told me they was raping my child. So they could sue me through this man's courtroom. He's a family court judge named Tracy Gilbert in the Conroe courthouse. And Austin sued me for custody of my child after they said they already had raped him. And I told Tracy Gilbert, look, I'm about to get out on these charges. Austin was attacking me with my child. I am not guilty. I can bring the evidence to you. Do not give Austin custody of my child. He is a danger to my child. Tracy Gilbert said, well, come back with the evidence after you get out. And then he let them take me back into jail and try to set me up to be murdered pregnant and said Austin could have temporary custody of my child. While I was in the jail awaiting the trial, they tried to make me sign over my rights to my child to Austin. I refused to do that. I said, I'm not signing over the rights to my child. I told you that he was a danger to my child, and I said that I'm not signing over the rights to my child. So he said, well, I'm going to sign the order to give him temporary custody. So I kept fighting the case. I was almost there to my court date. They kept trying to murder me, poisoning me in the jail pregnant, and lying about my pregnancy through their medical staff, saying that I was not pregnant. And then Tracy Gilbert, Cynthia Vera sued me through Tracy Gilbert's courtroom, saying that she was suing me and Austin. So when Cynthia said she was raping him, she said that Austin was going to hand my child over to her and the Conroe police, saying that he was going to be letting everybody rape the child and that they would set me up to be murdered. The next thing you know, I get some letters saying that Cynthia was now suing me and Austin for the custody of the child. And I told Tracy Gilbert, I'm coming to get my child from Cynthia when I'm released on these charges. And Tracy Gilbert said it was something about, they were saying Austin attacked the woman and he was in jail for something. So Cynthia was saying that he was on drugs again. And she was trying to make it seem like we were both bad parents. And I had to cross-examine Cynthia, and I got Cynthia to tell the truth that Austin was attacking me and her in our apartment. And Cynthia got temporary custody of the child, and they still tried to set me up to be murdered before my trial. So I was released on all of the charges after my pregnancy was confirmed by a nurse inside of the jail. But they had the local hospital lie about the pregnancy. So after I was released on the charges, they caused me to lose my apartment while I was in there. They held me 11 months, torturing me pregnant inside of the jail and saying they were raping my child. And when they released me on the charges, they've been having everybody in the country setting me up to be homeless on the streets and abusing me and abusing my body with the baby still alive in me. And this is why people are trying to set me up like a bum on the streets, because I'm trying to go back through this judge's courtroom and I'm trying to have him tell Cynthia O'Vera to return my child to me. I have called his courtroom and I told him that she said that they were raping him. I went to a court date 3 months after I was released on the charges in his courtroom, and they had black males and my sister Shakina Jones set me up along with shelters to be on the streets so that I would not have anywhere to go. And I went against Cynthia O'Vera and I asked her, I can go to my sister's house if I have my child, return my child to me. And he refused to make Cynthia O'Vera return my child to me, and the charges were dropped. And God said since then they have been trying to set me up to be murdered because my son was 3 years old. And God said that he did not have a right to give my child away to anybody for self-defense. Now, this was the actual judge over the case where they were saying they were charging me for shooting Austin in the leg. And she was the judge that is responsible for them stealing my child. She is the judge that is responsible for them torturing my baby that's still alive in me. And she is the judge that will be responsible for the death of my son if my son is not alive. And she will be the judge that is responsible for anybody that is continuing to try to kill my baby. Every heartache that this child has endured being denied medical care, she is the judge that is responsible for it. She is also the judge that is responsible for people trying to attempt to murder me for trying to have Cynthia O'Vera arrested about raping my child. She is the judge that is responsible for an entire gang of people saying that they were raping my child. I don't have to open up my mouth and lie against her. The reason is because she was holding me on charges that I was not guilty for because she didn't want to let me go because I was black. She was known for being the judge that sentenced black people to very long periods of time for minor crimes. This is something that I did my research about her. My lawyer was not handing over the evidence to the people that would have been able to help me and my children. She allowed the Conroe police to say that they were all gang raping my child with Cynthia O'Vera. She allowed Joseph O'Vera to say that he was gang raping my child with Cynthia O'Vera in his home because I shot Austin and I was black. She allowed Austin, the criminal that was attacking me and my child, regardless if he is the father, he is a criminal. that said that he was raping my baby, and she allowed him to get his hands on my child to tell me that he was raping my baby after I shot him because I was black. And she allowed the entire country to torture me, lying about my pregnancy and stealing my child and having me screaming all over social media about them raping my son, and it's still letting them do it. This is where my apartment was, and the women centers are trying to say, well, it happened so long ago that we don't have to help her. We just go stage her out on the streets and let everybody keep trying to set her up, and they said they was raping her child. So this is where I have been living with my son. I have been living there for 3 years, 2 or 3 years, and Austin had been in prison. He got out of prison attacking me here, and there were several 911 calls that I made to the police department asking them to please get Austin out of my home. So he ended up running me out of my home, trying to stop me from calling the police, continuing to assault me, and I was pregnant with the child that I'm still carrying, and I was bleeding. So I went down the street to get help, and he came attacking me there. He also started being violent with my child, which was not the first time that he had done this. My son also almost died when I gave birth to him because Austin was attacking me before he went to prison in this very apartment. So when they took me to jail, they already knew the evidence. They knew that Austin was abusive towards me, and I shot him with a gun that I own after I had tried to get help all over the neighborhood. I even contacted Austin's mother, Cynthia O'Vera, that said she was raping my child, asking for her help, telling her that Austin was assaulting me, and she's continuing to try to set me up to be murdered. Patty tried to sign my apartment over to Austin and then tried to give me a bond that said that I would not be able to get into my own home if I bonded out. But they held me on the charges so long, lying about my pregnancy, trying to kill me in the jail, and saying that they were raping my child, that they caused me to lose my apartment. So when I was released, I did not have anywhere to go. And this judge is using that to say that this woman could keep my child, and then has had everybody setting me up not to have a home in the country so that she could rape him. This is the units I believe that Austin was released from. He was in prison for assault. Austin was very violent. He was hitting me. He was destroying my property. He was hitting my child. He was hitting me while pregnant. He almost caused my child to die. He continued to assault me because he was white, and he knew that he could get away with it. And then he joined a gang that was racist, and when I was trying to get these racist police to help me, they were refusing to do it. And he was getting his mother and his father to try to help hide him and cover up what was going on. And they just started trying to set me up to be murdered with the KKK because I wanted them back in prison. So this is where he had been while I was raising my child in my apartment. Patty Imaginist knew this information, the white female judge that was on the case. I told her, but it was because I was black. Everybody thought they were going to set me up to be murdered pregnant in the back of the jail. And they're still trying to kill my baby and me, but by the grace of God, the baby is alive, which is why I have a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. So the fact that there are black women and young white girls that would try to give me drugs so that you could try to ruin my case. Cynthia O'Vera is a pedophile. She rapes children. She likes to have intercourse with children, with groups of people. She told me, you don't want this kind of woman with your child. Once somebody tells you that, and then they tell you that they gonna set you up to be killed because you know that they have sex with kids, because you know that they said that they were having sex with your baby with not just one person, 3 people, 14 people, 20 people, 30 people, 100 people, people that are holding so-called government positions, people that are gang members, people that are drug addicts, and then she want to go and run around like she's some saint that's saying that she's the grandmother of your child. This is what the whole ruining of the image is about. This is why everybody is following me around. This is why they need to try to paint it like somebody's on drugs, and no weapon formed against me will prosper. Right now, I'm at the Houston Public Library, outside the library, and since I started this video, they had about maybe 20 people come inside of the library so they could try to spy on me, listen, and set me up. She's not setting me up by herself. A gang is where she could sit in the house and let people that's in the gang set me up for her. When you a grand witch, you can let everybody that's doing witchcraft with you and raping kids in the country to set me up for you. She don't have to lift a finger. All she have to do is sit over there and pretend like she had paperwork saying that she has custody of my child and let all these people try to set me up. She's not raping children by herself. She is raping children with other black women. She is raping children with other white women. She is raping children with her husband. She is raping children with her son. She is raping children with police. She is raping children with correctional guards. She is killing children, getting rid of the bodies, transferring AIDS and herpes to children. She's raping children with grown men here in America. They don't want to get caught, so they need to try to protect Cynthia. This is how I looked when I was released on the charges, and I'm going to go into more videos to show y'all a little bit about the abuse that they do on a parent once the pedophiles steal your child from you. And they are all up here now following me where I am right now because I'm exposing this information. Cynthia knows that I'm not a drug addict. She knows that I'm not a bum. But she stole my baby and she said she was raping my child and it was not her child. So this is the operation that they do.